Welcome back to Pizza Like This. We've got a very exciting guest on today from
Gigi's Pizzeria.
Gigi's
Balmain.
Pizza in Balmain.
Sydney.
Me and Antimo had a quick express trip into there. What night was that?
Yeah, that was
Couple nights
on
ago.
Tuesday night.
Picked you up from the airport.
And we went straight there. Gigi's was waiting for us. Thank you so much. Unbelievable. And
No
he had
worries, anytime.
and he had the only two door left. That was unbelievable. Like not even if you wanted to make it happen, he had 2 door left for us. Unbelievable.
So we made it happen. 2 pizzas and saved it in a very nice temperature for the for the guys.
That's good.
Man, there's not too many times, I just want to say, that I've encountered humans such as Daniel here, who's very similar to Antimo. And we were just coming because Antimo said to me, we've got to go to this place, man. They do these pizzas. Check it out. He sent me the Instagram account of yours. And I went on there. I was like, man, these look awesome. Pizza,
Thanks,
contemporary
man.
pizzas.
Well done.
And I was
Thank
like,
you.
But yeah, basically we zoomed over and Antimo was like, I phoned up and I was like, guys, can we get because Antimo's plane was running late by about
2 hours.
2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we won't go into that. But yeah, basically I phoned up. I was like, man, can we have the last table? What's the last time we can come in? And the lovely lady was like, no, we're 8:15, 8:30. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
man, we're gonna be having to run pretty fast to get there for that.
Unbelievable.
But I kept that oven going for you, man. I needed you to try the
Mate.
pizza.
Yeah, no, the story is incredible. Like
You said I'm gonna pull some strings. I know the pizza mafia. I'm
I
gonna
know
see
the
what I
Pizza
can
Mafia
do.
in Melbourne, and I made a call, and lucky my friend
Yeah.
my friend is very good friend with Gigi, and he made it happen very easy, and he was such a gentleman. Thank you so much.
No worries,
Then
anytime.
and then we came there. It was like 9, and even we were so late. Like we arrived, like the restaurant closed at 9, and at 9:30 they were still waiting for us with the 2 pizza left. And then they made pizza very quickly, and wow, was really really good. I was impressed
Thank
of
you.
How light was that pizza, man. It was really really light.
Beautiful.
you.
There's-
Thank you.
Honestly, when you pick up a pizza that's done with the sort of a high hydration pizza
Yeah.
contemporary style, when you pick it up, it was so light.
Yeah,
When you
it's,
put it, it's almost nothing.
Yeah, actually, let's tell the people like what. So, which kind of pizza do you do at your shop?
So we're doing a 100% bigger at the shop. So pretty much the whole process is regulated. So from where we store the flour to what temperature we close the bigger at, and then what fridge it goes into. So if I need it straight away, it might go into a higher temperature. If I need to lengthen the process, maybe 48, 72, it'll go to a colder fridge. So basically, we try and keep the pizza so that you're sort of getting the same pizza every time you come to the restaurant.
That's the most beautiful things.
Yeah, the hydration sits at 80% to 82%.
Wow, that's nuts. That's nuts.
Which is a very 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 light pizza at the end. The only struggle is finding stuff
But
because
to work with
the
it.
reason, like 80% is the reason that's hard to work with is just you've got so much water involved in that dough making, and it's very difficult to work with, right?
Yeah, it's harder to. For me, it's easier actually, but for someone who hasn't dealt with that hydration, it's harder to shape the pizza and to put it from the bench into the oven. Now, hydration, if I say 80 or 82%, that can also change in accordingly to how old the bigger is as well. Because the older the bigger gets, the less water
Can
it
absorb.
allows me to absorb. It allows me to put water.
Yeah.
So on my eye, when I'm mixing the machine, I sort of understand where the bigger is at, how much more I can push it, and I must say I try and push it as much as I can because the end result is amazing.
Yeah. But why exactly 80%? But another things like this is nuts. Like to be honest, probably Chris and I been in Melbourne for 10 years, in Australia for 10 years, and I'm a pizza maker doing this for the last 12 years. I've never been in a place that does 80% hydration. That was nuts. And you could feel that I was actually 80%.
Yeah.
Because I told you the first things. What I said to you, this is things, it doesn't weigh nothing. Like, was insane. Like,
yeah, it's very light.
Yeah, like why exactly 80 and not 76, 78 or 72? Like why the 8 is the magical number? Do you think for you?
I'm going to explain it to you. So, 75, 76 is still a very, very, very good pizza. When you hit that 80, 81, 82, it is a different pizza. Now, I don't say that 75 is not a good pizza. It's a fantastic pizza. But when I put the pizza in the oven and I see the explosion from the oven, the initial spring from when I put the pizza in the oven, that's like an addiction to me, and that's what makes me keep going back to the section. So at that 82%, 81%, it gives me that feeling. 75 doesn't blow up as much if you cook it at the right temperature and everything is followed the right way. I think that's what pushes me to get to that hydration, because that's what I want to see when I'm cooking the pizza in the night. I want to see that explosion. That explosion is it's
like addictive.
It's an addiction. It's the feeling that I get. The nice feeling that I get when I'm making pizzas in the restaurant.
That's so funny, Chris. This is exactly like looking at myself in the mirror and speaking with myself.
This is what I said last night when we came back. I got in the car with Antonio on the way back, and I was like, man, I was cracking up when you two were like so deep in conversation.
Passionate pizza
it was
makers.
like I listened to Antomo talk to me about pizza, blah blah blah, pizza, blah blah blah. I've got a basic understanding of pizzas now, but Antomo's like next level.
Yes,
and then speaking when I see him with you both are like this
we
next
bounce,
level of like
we bounce off each other.
You're like grandmasters of pizza. And you're like talking to each other, and it's a mirror.
I call them pizza bombs.
Yes.
I love to call pizza bomb. For me, pizza bombs is everything. It's all my life.
For me too. It's addictive. When you see it coming out as a bomb, like you say, it's like another love. Feeling.
But how did you start with? Like, did you start?
So, when I started making pizzas, it was just purely for money. I started 15 years ago. Oh, wow. I was making a really like crust. I was working for a crust. Like it was just extra money. And then 5 years ago, I met a friend from.
What type of pizza was that you were making when you first started?
It was just like on a tray. You put oil on a tray. You put it in a conveyor belt oven, and then you cook it, and you send the pizza.
Yeah.
And then after that, I met a guy called Antonio from Italy, and he started to explain a little bit of stuff to me, and we started to get a little bit passionate. After that, I found a little bit of love for pizza. And then he said to me, "So when I go home tonight, I'll tag in all the best pizza makers in Italy, and start following them and start having a look." And he tagged me with Carlo, he tagged me with Raf, he tagged me with Martucci, Francesco, Franco Pepe, and then I started to
the most famous in Naples.
Yeah, and then I started to look, and then when I looked at the pizza, I had a vision in my head, and that's what I wanted. I wanted that pizza. I wanted it. Yeah. And so from there, I sort of kept trying. I understood nothing about flour. I understood nothing about anything. It was strictly self-taught. The process was sort of like looking on Facebook, and then sort of like, oh, okay, why is he doing that? Oh, okay, there must be some reason behind it.
So the way you've gone about it is like a real first principles approach, which is where I think a lot of like Antomo and a lot of you guys, not as many of you, but that's the only way is to get that first principles approach of the trial and error. So you've got this vision, and then you're seeking that vision to the nth degree, and it's like every day you try something.
Every day we're trying something, and then you fall back and you make mistakes, and you have to fix it on the service. Being a good pizza maker, you have 100%. To make sure that you keep your service going, and whatever happens, you need to serve
to be calm
and to be calm and to fix your mistakes.
Find solution.
Find the solution to fix your mistakes. And
100%.
There's been so many times that I've made so many mistakes, and I've found the solution to keep going, and then 7 years down the track, I'm here, and I understand the bigger process, because that's what I wanted to specialize in. A lot of people say, why didn't you do Polish? Why didn't you do this? And I said, no, I took this technique, invested all my time in this technique, and finally I understand the technique. And the technique really has no rules. You know, when people say to me, do you do 24, or do you do 48, or do you do 72? 24, 48, 72 is such a broad question, because how cold did I finish that beaker? What fridge did I put it in? How much yeast did I use in that
But
beaker?
we are speaking about the hours of fermentation of the beer.
Yes,
Not
we
just
are.
to make it clear for the people.
Yes, we are speaking about fermentation. But
Yeah.
if we do a 48 and we finish it colder,
Yeah.
then it could still sort of be like a 24, because
Yeah.
you haven't fermented that whole way.
Yeah.
So there's a few little things to follow and few little things to keep in mind.
Okay, you can discover by yourself as
Yeah,
well.
you need to discover that for yourself.
And just on like for example, when we came and you had those 2 doughs left.
Yes.
You said I've been moving the
Yeah.
trays in the fridge between like you know different temperatures. You know,
Yeah.
different areas in the fridge. You got a 7 degrees and a 3 degrees and a 5 and 11.
Yeah.
You know where all those areas
Yeah,
are.
so
and you use those.
yeah, so the fridge that we got in every fridge has a colder spot and a warmer spot. You ferment in a warmer spot, your fermentation goes obviously more. You ferment
Over.
if you it'll go faster.
Faster, yeah.
Yeah, and then if you ferment in a colder spot, you're slowing it down.
Yeah.
Personally, I like to cook the pizza at 18 degrees.
Okay.
18 degrees is the best time to cook the pizza. I can't always judge that in the service, but I do try my best. If it's 18, 20, 21, it's still a very, very good pizza. But 18 degrees
The best result. Gives
is
you the
that
best result.
big, beautiful result.
Okay.
And they're all beautiful results. I mean, it's just
Your
it's
preference.
just my preference,
Yeah,
and
100%.
because I'm working with it, and you know, when I laser the ball, and I see 18, and I go, oh, perfect. You know, this is,
Yeah,
and then you just see it blow up, explode like.
So you just keep your dough ball in a controlled environment, right? Just to explain to people.
Yeah. So I keep the dough balls in a fridge that's not a fridge that you open up and it's got this air going around.
Okay.
It's just like a sort of proofing fridge for dough.
For dough, just for the dough. Yeah.
Because
okay.
my outlook on when a dough ball hits a hard fridge, it's a different result from when your dough is just sitting ambient in a nice cooler fridge. It's a different result. So that's why I bought that fridge, so I can control my fermentation, but also not be using a heavy fridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And
That's
so
good.
before you started Bega,
Yeah.
you did Neapolitan pizza.
Yeah, I sort of did that classic, make the dough, then put it in the dough balls, and then you do the 48 hour, and you pull it out, and then you use it on the service. And then if you're not busy, you can put it back and then use it the following day.
Yeah.
24, 48 sort of thing. So that classic,
Yeah.
The direct dough.
the sort of the direct dough. Yeah.
And what was the sort of the reason you moved on from the Neapolitan to the Bega? What was the main reason, despite the hardness and the failure points?
Yeah, look, the reason why I moved off that was because I wanted to achieve the big edges.
Yeah, everybody wants.
I
the
can
big
understand.
edges.
The bombs,
I can understand.
the bombs, as you say.
The bobs is in our vein, you know. It's in our vein.
It's what I wanted to see. So, I'm sure that you can do it with a direct. I'm sure you can still do a really good pizza with a direct, and you can still do a bomb, but
not as soft as.
it's not really the same, and it's a different technique. Yeah,
Yeah, the
So
bite
it's
is different.
So
The bite is
It is
different.
different. So when we started doing Bega, I put the pizza in. I'd have so many mistakes, so many things. Then sometimes you get a really good night and you go, wow, the pizza's exploding tonight. So I asked the guys, what's different tonight? What did we do different? And the guys go to me, I don't know, Daniel, we did the same thing. So after that, then I took it further, and I wanted that feeling that of the pizza that I'd get once every 6 months. I wanted it every night. So I had to take the extra steps to where I store the flour, what temperature I store the flour, what temperature I finish the Bega, what temperature I close the final dough.
So
I had to take that extra step to get the result I want every single night.
would you say that your secret or the secret of pizza making is the temperature?
The secret of making the best pizza,
Yeah.
the secret is obviously we need passion to follow these rules.
Yeah.
Like everyone says, passion. But the secret is the dough management side of it.
So management and temperature.
Yes,
That
so
one
managing the temperatures of your pre-ferments
and your
to
dough.
your service ball.
Yeah, okay.
You could be the best pizza maker in the world, and if you haven't managed your dough properly,
You won't get the same result.
you'll not get that same result because it is an artisan product. You have to understand. You need to know how to manage it.
Because
So-
at the end of the day, he used the same ingredient of everyone else.
Everyone's using
flour,
the same ingredients.
salt, yeast, and water. Nothing
Yes.
changes.
Yeah.
It's just the way you manage around, and you can get that result that other people
Exactly.
doesn't get. It's just about how he manages.
Managing how you
It's-
manage it.
It's
pretty
unbelievable
much.
if you think about it.
Yes, because a lot of people are using the same.
Yeah, same.
Ingredients,
Everyone is the
so-
same.
And that was for me as a pizza hobbyist was the biggest breakthrough was when I met Antimo and I was struggling and
Yeah.
and when we started going through it and it was always about they said the timings and the temperature you do this at this temperature and you do that at this temperature and you put it here and it's the timings and
Yes.
and as soon as you leave things too long or you don't do too much or
Goes over,
you put it in
yeah.
the wrong temperature at the wrong place it's
Changes.
that's when all these variables so
Exactly.
the biggest part of this and from my sort of the biggest part where you get the growth out of just being
Yeah.
having all these fails is understanding okay I've got to actually really respect this time and temperature thing which
Yes,
is the dough management
It's the management side.
because everyone's
Yep.
using a similar flour or the same flour like
Yeah.
a Caputo Red or whatever or,
Yes.
or whatever the most popular flour is plus water plus salt plus
Yeah.
yeast it's
Yeah.
like
It's true.
everyone's getting
yeah,
such different results
exactly.
so the only thing that can be different is really
just
is the method
the management.
Pretty
the dough
much
management.
the dough
Management.
management side. Another thing when coming down to dough management is types of flours. It's so important that you
Choose the right one.
Choose the right flours. I could say Caputo. I could say, but you know what? For maybe someone beginning, Caputo's good because it holds water. But for me, it's like I've just changed from Caputo, Pizzuti, and a Piscini, and a few other stuff, and you can still make the flours work if you mix them right.
Yeah.
I've just started using Pizzuti. I've made my own W, so I take it to 310. So I mix some of the flours.
So just
And-
for the listeners at home, the W rating is the strength of the
Yeah,
flour.
exactly. So that strength of the flour also determines how long you got in fermentation time.
Yeah.
So I could have gone Costa Amalfi 300 W, and then it'll take me till 9 o'clock in my service. Then it might overproof. But if I mix a Vesuvio with a Costa Amalfi,
That is a bit strong, huh?
that's a little bit stronger. So 350 W with a 300, and I
It's
might just
320,
put
310.
like 20% of Vesuvio with Costa Amalfi, you end up with a 310. That gives you that little extra time that you need in the
So
service.
it's so technical, man.
Yeah.
When I hear
Um,
it's just like
It's completely on another
blows my
level.
mind.
Yeah.
Because when we start talking about mixing flours of W's and
Yes.
doing that, it's like pff,
It's science, man. The management
It's pretty much science, the
is
management side.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Just another thing, you can go a high W in flours. Particularly, I don't like them because I feel like they're a bit chewy at the end. But they are easier to handle. So if you're a beginner, maybe start with a higher W.
Yeah,
So
that's
you can
that's actually
manage your dough.
that's what I was actually
Yeah.
going to ask you.
Yeah.
The next question will be, what will be your best advice for people that struggle?
Just
making the dough.
an easy at home sort of pre-ferment if you want to do it. It's just a 50 water, 50 flour, high W. Keep it at 24 hours at your fridge temperature, about 5 degrees around there.
Yeah.
And then just close it up and use it 3 hours after.
Yeah, and then
But
just try.
make sure your W's are a bit higher so you can manage it.
Yeah, and then
So-
just try. Just make your own mistake, fail,
Yeah,
and
well,
then
that's the best way to learn. So
yeah.
just making those mistakes and then just going the next time to the machine and trying something different, and then you'll know, oh, that didn't work, that worked. Why did that work today? Why didn't that work? And then that's how you become
that is and
a really good pizza maker as well.
that's one thing that Animo says to me about getting better is just you got to be making more pizza. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to
Yeah.
get better, and that
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But you guys are making pizza pretty much every day.
I
So-
still go to the machine and every day, and I learn something new.
But
in the
that's my-
machine. It's just it's a never-ending process. you
But
know?
that's what I tell him. Every time I make dough, I'm like in love. That's the
Yeah.
best part of my work.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
actually
like-
making pizza. It's
No.
actually making dough. It's
No,
just I
that's
can
right.
stay there staring at that for
Yes.
hours and hours and fall in love every day.
That's right.
Like,
It's the look.
it's addictive.
Look, I don't want to stay on the bench all night. I love looking at the pizza blowing up and all that. It's beautiful and everything. But yeah, I need a night off. I need a bit of life too sometimes. So, you know, just when it comes down to the dough part, that's really where the main, and not the main, because the bench is important too. You need good pizza makers to shape and all that, and make sure your temperatures of the ovens are at the right 400, and they're drying it off at the end. You need all that too. So you need to make sure, like me, I need to make sure I'm hiring the right people to do that. But the big majority is that final mix, the end of the when you mix that dough, you got to make sure you put in the water at the right times. You got to make sure you put in the salt at the right times. You know, it's so important, all that part, to get the best result.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that was another interesting
Yep.
thing is coming to your restaurant. You had a big,
Yep.
beautiful looking oven.
Beautiful, man.
Thanks,
It's
man.
gorgeous.
Yeah, tell us a bit about your oven. And,
Yeah, when I changed to this style of pizza, I was using another oven. It was just a deck oven. I was pushing that oven very high to get the temperature, because every time I'd open the deck, I'd lose a lot of heat. So I was pushing it, and then after, what I would have to do is put it on a tray, because the stone would be so hot.
So hot.
Because I was pushing the oven to
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
temperatures.
Yeah.
I did that for a very long time. And when I made the dough, I used a 1-speed dough mixer, and I used to put the water very slowly with a lot of ice to hydrate the dough, and so it doesn't overheat.
Yeah.
Right? So the reason why I didn't upgrade my equipment was because I didn't find the right oven. I went to a lot of showrooms. I turned on a lot of ovens on. I got the guys to, get it all ready for me. I throw in the oven. I throw the pizza in the oven, and it just wouldn't give me what I want in a lot of ovens.
And what were you looking for when you?
I
when you
was
put it in
looking
there?
for that initial blast, that initial,
Intensity.
cooked inside properly, crystallized inside, and cooked outside properly. Not cooked outside and still raw inside.
Yeah.
That's a big factor, and a lot of the ovens were doing that when you push them at those temperatures, like 400 or 410. So I was at a coffee shop one morning, and there was a guy from Rosso Antico called Carmine, and we had a good chat. He's a really good pizza maker, and we had a good chat. And I bought an oven, and I'm not going to say the name, but I didn't put it in my restaurant because I was not happy with the result. And we spoke about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I feel the same way about it as well." He said, "Look, why don't you come to my place and just throw a pizza in the oven, and see if you like it." So we organised a time to go over there, and I went there, and I took my dough and I put it in the oven. It was just another feeling when that pizza went in the oven. I only put one in there, and he said, "Do you want to put any more? You want to try the oven?" I said, "No, I don't need to see any more. It's been 2 years looking for the oven,
Wow.
and
Just go
I
straight
found the oven I want." So
That's
at that point,
that's crazy story.
Yeah,
That's
I
insane.
said that's the oven for me. So
Wow.
it's
when you know.
when I know, I
You
know,
know, yeah.
and
Such a good feeling.
yeah. So I ended up going to order in the oven, and got it delivered and put through the big window at the front, and I couldn't be happier with the oven. It's just
How-
you know.
How is the oven? Like, which way it works? Like by gas?
So I'm
electric,
using
or
an
wood?
electric oven.
Electric. Nice.
I only use electric ovens only because I like the way it cooks the
cooks.
pizza. I feel like the electric oven gives a nice dry heat to the pizza. So if you got a really good oven like the one I've got, you got that initial big blast, but it's also letting off dry heat.
Yeah.
So your pizza will come out with a little bit of dryness, which is good for takeaway. If you put my pizza in a wood oven, it releases wet, moist heat. So the pizza becomes only a pizza at the table.
Yeah.
So when I do my takeaway,
It will be very.
it's very wet.
Wet, yeah.
So
And another question was, which temperature do you cook your 80% hydration?
sure.
Pizza dough.
So I've set the oven I've got now at 440 degrees, which is not 440 degrees because I've temperature gauged it all and checked it all.
Yeah.
I'm cooking at 400 degrees.
Okay. So because the oven loses a little bit of heat because
The
it's
oven loses
an
heat,
open oven.
and when I start my service, I never put it in the hottest spot. I only cook the pizza at 400.
Okay. So 400 degrees.
If I get busy, then I'll start to go into the back of the oven.
Okay.
So 400 degrees gives you the best result
my
for your
perfect-
80%.
My perfect temperature to cook a pizza at, if I'm not busy, is 380.
Yeah.
If I'm busy, 400.
Yeah.
380 when I'm busy. The first couple come out great, and then
It's
Start
better.
getting paler
and then they
because
start
they're
to
not
get a
cooking.
bit more.
Yeah, it's better for a hydration though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooking little bit less high temperature. It
Yeah.
dries up a little bit
It
more.
dries up a little
because
bit
it's
more.
got a lot of moisture
Yeah.
from the water.
Yeah,
80%,
exactly.
it's a lot.
Exactly.
It's like 20% more than the standard Napolitan pizza
Yeah.
that is sitting around 60%. So
Yes.
that's nuts.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Well done, man.
Thanks, man.
What do you think the biggest challenge is for your pizzas right now?
So the biggest challenge was pretty much COVID. When COVID hit, we just couldn't find any good staff, which left me working like ridiculous hours and less time with my family. And it's been 3 years, and I think it's just starting to get better because good pizza makers are applying now for the job.
That's awesome. And you said you've been struggling to get guys that can work with your dough as well.
Yeah,
Because obviously it's
so-
not just normal pizza
yeah.
making you're doing. You're doing super advanced, high hydration,
Yeah.
hard to work with dough.
So I taught a guy who was with me for 4 years. He just left for a visa purpose. And ever since I started doing trials, people were coming into the restaurant and trying to stretch the pizza and I also say, look, it's a little bit hydrated and I'm going to show you the first one and see if you can work with it.
Yeah.
Then they'd say, yeah, that's fine. And then they'll try and work with it and they just could not work with it. And they just say, oh, nah, I don't think I can do it. I'm like, no, that's cool. That's fine, I understand that, you can't do it.
Yeah, because it's hard. It's because of the issue is obviously the stretching out and the tearing. Is that and getting it into the oven without tearing and moving it in the oven? Is that that's the main problem?
Look, it's funny because when you make the dough, right, you get the first tray, you get the second tray, you get the third tray, you get the fourth tray, you get the fifth tray, you get the sixth tray, and they're all different. Because the gluten, the amount of time it sits on the bench changes every 5-6 minutes, something like that. So you get the first tray, which is a little bit weaker, and the second tray, which becomes a little bit stronger. Each ball, when you make a ball, is different because it gets more bench time because you're cutting it up and you got more extra bench time. So the structure and the strength is different to the next tray. So the guys would come in and they'd use the first tray. The first tray is always the hardest tray to use because it hasn't sat on the bench for the longest time.
Yeah.
So you got that less gluten attachment, which is still a very good pizza, but it's harder to use. So we struggled around that COVID time. That was the biggest challenge was at that point hiring staff to make sure that we can still maintain the quality of pizza. But now we are managing to hire good staff. Looks like people from Europe are starting to come back into the country. And at the moment, we got 2 French guys and they've just started and they're doing really, really well. So
Awesome.
hopefully
Good to hear that.
that's
Good.
in the
Nice.
past now.
Nice. Well done.
Cool,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Is there anyone particular? I mean, you've mentioned a few of the sort of influencer or the big Napoli pizza guys. Is there anyone else you'd recommend that people could sort of follow on YouTube or somewhere?
So over the time, pretty much my favorites were Martucci Francesco. That was from a long time ago, years ago, before he became a number one. I think a couple of years ago, I was following him and always had him as a sort of my inspiration. And then I met a guy called Steve, which is on Instagram. He's a great pizza maker. He's like Freddo's on Instagram.
Right.
And he introduced me to, told me to look up Anthony Mangieri because every time I talk to Steve, he'd say, man, you say the same things as Anthony Mangieri. So I looked up Anthony Mangieri and it's the way Anthony Mangieri looks at pizza is the same as how I look at pizza and how I feel about pizza.
Yeah.
So those two are my sort of,
Okay.
you know,
Awesome.
It's good.
Good recommendation.
guys that I look up to
Yeah,
in
by
the
the way-
pizza world.
By the way, Tony Mangieri won the first.
Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony Mangieri
Yeah.
won the first top first pizza in
With,
the world with
Martucci,
Martucci. Yeah,
Francesco.
so he's
Yeah.
sharing the first place with.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's Italian. Yeah, he's Italian.
Yes, he's
and
Italian.
He lives in US.
Yes.
US.
In USA.
Yeah.
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 And he's a little bit different. So he's like a naturally living pizza dough that never hits refrigeration, which I think must taste amazing.
Yeah.
And it must be very hard to go.
Yeah, it
to
must
do
be
it.
very, very hard to control
big
a
respect
dough
to that
like
guy.
that. So
Yeah.
check it out. Yep.
I personally endorse anyone who's in Sydney or Balmain, or not even in Balmain, to head over and
Thank
test
you.
some of your pizza, because
Yeah.
it is
Unbelievable.
Thank
for
you.
sure in my opinion one of the best,
Best
if
pizza.
not the best pizza I've tasted in Sydney.
Thank you.
So well done, man.
Well
Thank you
done.
very much.
Well done. And
Thanks so much for visiting and having me here as well.
Our pleasure, man. It's
Thanks
completely
for
our
coming.
pleasure. So thank
No
you
worries.
for coming on our podcast.
Yeah,
and,
anytime.
Thank you.
all the best, man.
Thank you.
All the best. Ciao, bello.
Ciao. Ciao.
All right, guys, we've had an absolute pleasure hosting Daniel from Gigi's Pizza in Balmain, Sydney, for this podcast episode. He truly is at the top of the game in pizza making, and I'm seriously amazed how he consistently achieves an 82% hydration dough. Wow, it's crazy just even thinking about it, to be honest. Knowing myself how hard it is to manage and work with, creating a pizza to this level of hydration is seriously impressive, but incorporating it as part of his restaurant menu, well, it takes it to a whole new level. We've gained so much insight from Daniel's experience, and we hope you've also found it valuable. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Daniel's 82% hydration dough. Have you ever tried making pizzas with this higher hydration level? How did it go? Please share your comments, questions, or experiences in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss any of our future uploads. Thanks for watching. Ciao.